In a vast chamber that echoed with the whispers of 1,000 civilizations, the Council of the Galaxies convened. Towering pillars of iridescent stone loomed over the representatives from various alien species, their forms a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, each more bizarre than the last. The atmosphere brimmed with a mix of arrogance and disbelief as they scrutinized the latest report detailing humanity's technological advancements. "Look at this pitiful data," a tall, serpentine being with glimmering scales remarked, its voice hissing through the air. "They still rely on primitive combustion engines and aging satellites. How can we take them seriously?" A burly creature resembling a lumbering bear, but with 6 limbs, thumped its massive fist on the table, causing a few smaller representatives to jump in surprise. "It is an insult to even consider Earth a player in the cosmic arena. We should focus our resources on more promising civilizations." Across the chamber, a sleek, insectoid figure adjusted its eye stalks, its many eyes narrowing as it spoke. "Yet they have been evolving. Their creativity could yield unforeseen results. We cannot ignore the potential of a species that has survived against all odds." "They have been underestimated before." The murmurs of agreement faded into laughter, the sound echoing like a chorus of disdain. A dignitary from the starfaring Zorax race leaned back in its chair, its wings fluttering dismissively. "Perhaps we should send a delegation to Earth, just to remind them of their place. It would be entertaining to watch their futile attempts to defend their world." Oblivious to the mockery unfolding above them, a young scientist named Arya knelt in the dense underbrush of the Amazon rainforest. Her heart raced as she brushed aside the layers of dirt and foliage, revealing an ancient artifact half buried in the ground. The air around it shimmered with an unusual energy, resonating with a frequency that seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. "What on earth is this?" she whispered to herself, entranced by the intricate carvings that adorned the object. She felt an inexplicable connection to it, as if it were calling out to her. As she carefully extracted the relic, a shadow fell across her work. Darius, her colleague and a seasoned archaeologist, approached with a furrowed brow. "Arya, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be alone in this part of the forest." "I'm fine, Darius. You have to see this." She held the artifact up, its surface glimmering in the dappled sunlight. "It's incredible. I think it might be something more than just an ancient relic." Darius eyed the object warily, his brow deepening into a frown. "I don't like it. This area is steeped in legend. Many explorers have disappeared here. You might be awakening something humanity isn't ready for." Arya rolled her eyes, irritation flaring. "You sound just like those council members who dismiss our work. This is a breakthrough, an opportunity to learn about our past. We can't let fear hold us back." "Fear?" Darius retorted, crossing his arms. "This isn't fear, it's caution. The Council has made it clear they believe we are beneath them. They'll see this as a threat, and if we're not careful, we could end up drawing their attention." Arya took a deep breath, sensing the tension in the air. "We can't let their underestimation dictate our discoveries, Darius. If this artifact holds power, we need to understand it, not shy away from it." He met her gaze, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Just promise me you'll be careful. If the Council finds out about this." Arya nodded, determination set in her features. "I will be, I promise. But I have to explore this. It could change everything." Unbeknownst to them, the Council's laughter echoed through the vast chamber, mingling with the quiet hum of the universe, as they remained blissfully unaware of the potential awakening on a distant, seemingly insignificant planet. The fate of the galaxy was teetering on the edge, and 2 humans, armed with curiosity and ambition, were about to unravel secrets that could redefine their place in it. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the tangled vines of the Amazon rainforest, Arya and Darius stood in their makeshift laboratory, a cramped space filled with old equipment and the mysterious artifact that had ignited their curiosity. The artifact pulsed with a vibrant energy, almost as if it were alive. Its surface glimmered under the flickering fluorescent lights, drawing them closer. "Are we sure we should be doing this?" Darius asked, his brow furrowed with concern. He hesitated, glancing at the artifact. "What if we awaken something we can't control?" "Arya, her eyes bright with determination, shook her head. We've already come this far. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. Think about it, just imagine what we could learn. With a resigned sigh, Darius grabbed a pair of gloves and approached the artifact. All right, but let's proceed with caution. No reckless experiments. Together, they initiated their first test. They had gathered a few volunteers, all eager to explore the unknown potential of the artifact. As they placed their hands on its surface, a surge of energy flowed through the room. Arya felt a rush of warmth envelop her, and she gasped as a wave of power coursed through her veins. "Do you feel that?" she exclaimed, her voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. "It's like nothing I've ever experienced." Darius stared wide-eyed at their test subjects, who were also reacting to the energy. One of them, a young student named Mia, began to levitate slightly off the ground, her hair floating in the charged atmosphere. "What's happening? I can't control it," she cried, panic evident in her voice. "Focus, Mia. Try to center yourself," Arya instructed, her own heart racing with exhilaration. Darius, however, was becoming increasingly alarmed by the unexpected results. "Arya, we need to stop this. This is getting out of hand," he urged, stepping away from the artifact. "If the council finds out—" "The council?" Arya interrupted, her enthusiasm wavering. "They think we're weak, remember? They're underestimating us. We can't let them dictate what we can or cannot do." Before Darius could respond, another test subject, a middle-aged man named Robert, suddenly unleashed a burst of energy that sent furniture crashing against the walls. "I'm sorry. I can't control it," he shouted, terror etched on his face. "Everyone, calm down," Arya shouted, but her voice trembled with fear as chaos erupted in the lab. Darius, heart pounding, rushed to stabilize Robert, using his own newly discovered ability to create a barrier that absorbed the energy radiating from him. "Darius, how did you do that?" Arya breathed, astonished. "I don't know. I just felt it," he replied, still focused on containing the energy around Robert. "But we need to contain this before someone gets hurt." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the room fell silent. The volunteers, panting and wide-eyed, looked at each other, bewildered by what had just transpired. "What just happened?" Mia asked, her voice trembling. "We've tapped into something incredible," Arya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But we must be careful. If the council learns of this, they won't hesitate to come after us." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the alien council convened. A sleek, ominous ship hovered above Earth, transmitting reports of the humans' newfound abilities. The council members, a mix of reptilian and insectoid beings, exchanged worried glances. "They're awakening," one counselor hissed, his long tongue flicking in agitation. "If they harness this power, they could become a significant threat." "Send the elite squad," another suggested, her mandibles clicking. "We cannot allow them to gain momentum." As the council prepared for their covert operation, Arya and Darius, still reeling from their earlier experiment, sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, with an unshakable tension, and a feeling of impending danger washed over them. "Darius, we have to hide the artifact," Arya insisted, her voice urgent. "If they come for it, we need to protect it at all costs." He nodded, his face pale. "We can't let them find us. We have to warn the others." In the depths of the rainforest, the two scientists exchanged a determined glance. They were on the brink of a discovery that could redefine humanity's place in the galaxy. But as darkness fell, they were all too aware that shadows were closing in around them, threatening to snuff out the light of their awakening potential. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the makeshift laboratory nestled in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, Arya stood at the center of a growing alliance. Around her gathered a diverse group of scientists and military personnel, each drawn together by the urgent need to protect the mysterious artifact that had awakened their latent abilities. Leandro, a tough ex-soldier with a chiseled jaw and piercing blue eyes, moved to the front, his presence commanding immediate respect. "We need to train," he stated, his voice gruff yet steady. "We can't rely on luck. If those alien soldiers come back, we have to be ready." He glanced around at the faces of the group, gauging their resolve. Arya nodded, her heart pounding with both excitement and fear. Leandro's right. We've barely begun to understand what we're capable of. We need to harness this power before it's too late. Darius, her colleague, stepped forward, skepticism etched on his face. But how do we even begin? We're not soldiers. We're scientists. What if we can't control these abilities? What if we make things worse? Leandro shot him a hard look. We'll never know unless we try. We're in a fight for our lives now. Besides, you might be surprised at what you can do when pushed to the edge. Arya felt a surge of determination. We'll start with what we know. I can guide you on the energy manipulation we experienced during our experiments. We'll combine that with physical training. Everyone here has a role to play. The group exchanged glances, and slowly, they began to nod in agreement. They were united by a common purpose, a dawning realization that they were no longer mere scientists and civilians, but potential defenders of Earth. The next few days were a whirlwind of intense training. In the humid air of the rainforest, they practiced harnessing their abilities under Arya's guidance. Darius, hesitant at first, began to discover a latent power within himself. With each failed attempt at energy manipulation, he grew more determined, pushing through the frustration. "Come on, Darius, focus," Arya encouraged one day, her voice lifting above the chorus of rustling leaves and distant animal calls. "Feel the energy around you, it's there, you just have to tap into it." He closed his eyes, breathing deeply. Suddenly, a flicker of energy sparked at his fingertips, illuminating the dim surroundings. "I did it," he exclaimed, exhilaration bubbling in his chest. Leandro, nearby, grinned as he watched. "See, you're getting the hang of it. Soon enough, you'll be throwing energy blasts like a pro." As the days turned into nights, the group forged bonds stronger than they had anticipated. They shared stories around a small campfire, laughter mingling with their fears. Leandro often took the lead, drawing out each member's strengths while emphasizing the importance of teamwork. However, the tranquility of their training was shattered one evening when alarms blared through the forest. The alien soldiers had arrived, their sleek ships cutting through the canopy above like dark shadows. Panic surged through the group as they scrambled to prepare for an unexpected confrontation. "Everyone, to your positions," Leandro shouted, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We'll hold them off. Remember what we practiced." Arya felt her heart race as she took her place among her colleagues. Glancing at Darius, she saw determination etched on his face. "We've got this," she whispered, though uncertainty gnawed at her gut. The first alien soldiers burst into the clearing, their advanced weaponry glinting ominously in the fading light. "Surrender the artifact," one of them demanded, his voice cold and commanding. "You are outmatched." Arya stepped forward, adrenaline surging. "We will never surrender." With a collective shout, the humans unleashed their newfound abilities. Darius sent a wave of energy toward the aliens, and to everyone's surprise, it struck true, knocking one soldier off balance. "Keep pushing," Leandro roared as he charged forward, tackling an alien soldier to the ground. The skirmish erupted into a chaotic dance of energy and physical combat. The humans, fueled by adrenaline and their emerging powers, fought back fiercely, defying the odds stacked against them. Arya watched in awe as her colleagues fought not just for survival, but for their right to exist in a universe that had long underestimated them. It was a moment of unity, a blending of science and strength, as they began to realize that together, they could indeed stand against the forces that sought to crush them. As the last of the alien soldiers retreated, the group stood panting, their hearts racing with the thrill of victory. They had defended their home, but more importantly, they had discovered something profound. They were stronger together, and they were just beginning to understand the true potential of what they could become. "Let's regroup," Leandro said, his voice filled with pride. "This is just the beginning. We need to prepare for whatever comes next." Arya looked at her team, a fierce determination igniting within her. They were not merely scientists anymore. They were warriors, allies, and together, they would protect their world at all costs. In the heart of a ravaged city, the air crackled with tension as the coalition of alien civilizations unleashed a relentless bombardment upon Earth. Arya stood at the forefront of her team, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. The once vibrant skyline was now marred by smoke and debris, a grim reminder of what was at stake. Around her, Leandro, Darius, and the others were poised and ready, their newfound abilities surging through them like unsteady currents of electricity. Remember, we're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting for our future, Arya shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. She could see the determination in her team's eyes, a reflection of the courage that had blossomed within them since they discovered the artifact. Let's show them what humans are capable of, Leandro barked, cracking his knuckles in anticipation. His rugged exterior belied a fierce loyalty to the cause, and as a former soldier, he was ready to lead the charge. As the first wave of alien ships descended, their dark silhouettes blotting out the sun, Arya felt a surge of energy from the artifact hidden away in their makeshift command center. We need to harness our powers, she urged, rallying her team. Channel everything into a unified force. Darius, usually the cautious voice of reason, felt a fire igniting within him. Let's do this. On my signal, we strike. He raised his hand, and the team took their positions, a mix of scientists and soldiers now bound by a singular purpose. The aliens opened fire, beams of blue energy raining down upon the city. But Arya and her team were ready. Now! Darius shouted, and in unison, they thrust their hands forward, channeling their abilities into a shimmering shield that absorbed the energy blasts. The shield flickered under the strain, but it held. Keep it steady. We've got this. Leandro gritted his teeth, pushing his energy into the shield. The artifact resonated with their collective will, amplifying their powers in ways they had scarcely imagined. As the alien forces regrouped for another attack, Arya sensed an opportunity. Let's counterattack. Focus on the ship's power sources. She directed her team, and they unleashed a wave of energy that surged toward the nearest alien vessel. With a blinding flash, the ship burst into flames, spiraling out of control before crashing into a nearby building. Nice shot, Leandro cheered, pumping his fist in victory. But even as they celebrated, the battle intensified around them. More ships arrived, and the sky darkened with their presence. Stay focused, Arya called out, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on her. We need to regroup and strategize. Just then, an explosion rocked their position, sending debris flying. Darius stumbled, barely regaining his footing. We're being overwhelmed. We need to retreat, he shouted, his eyes wide with urgency. Not yet. Arya refused to back down. We have to hold the line. If we can just tap into the artifact's power one more time. Suddenly, an alien commander appeared, a towering figure adorned in gleaming armor, radiating authority. Foolish humans! You think you can defy the might of the coalition? He boomed, his voice reverberating through the chaos. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed a torrent of energy that shattered their makeshift defenses. Arya and her team braced themselves, but the energy was overwhelming. Darius cried out as he struggled to maintain his footing against the onslaught. Then, in a moment of desperation, Arya felt the artifact's energy pulsing stronger than ever before, resonating with her own. We can do this, together, she urged, and the team instinctively formed a circle around the artifact, channeling their energy into it. Now, Arya commanded, and they directed the combined force of their powers into the artifact. A brilliant light enveloped them, and they felt their capabilities magnifying exponentially. It was as if they had tapped into an ancient reservoir of strength, a legacy waiting to be awakened. The alien commander faltered, momentarily stunned by the unexpected surge of human power. What is this? He hissed, his confidence wavering. Let them feel the true potential of humanity, Leandro roared, and with a unified shout, they unleashed a wave of energy that surged toward the alien forces. The blast collided with the oncoming assault, creating a shockwave that rippled through the battlefield. Ships exploded, and the alien ranks began to falter as the tide of battle turned in favor of the humans. But unbeknownst to them, high above in the shadows of the atmosphere, a more powerful entity watched with keen interest, its intentions shrouded in mystery. As the humans celebrated their unexpected victory, the true implications of their newfound powers began to unfold. setting the stage for a confrontation that would challenge everything they believed about themselves and their place in the galaxy. As the dust began to settle from the chaotic battle, the atmosphere in the makeshift command center was thick with anticipation. Arya stood at the center of the room, surrounded by her team, each member processing the aftermath of their hard-won victory. The air was heavy with the scent of burnt metal and ozone, remnants of the confrontation that had left many questions unanswered. "We need to understand what this artifact truly is," Arya declared, her voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "There are ancient texts in the archives, records that might tell us about our past." Leandro, the rugged ex-soldier who had proven to be invaluable in the skirmish, leaned against a wall, arms crossed. "And what if those records only tell us that we were once pawns in a game we didn't even know we were playing? The Council has kept us in the dark for too long. What makes you think it'll be any different now?" Darius, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke up, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "We won't know until we look. If there's even a shred of truth in those texts, it could change everything." He hesitated, glancing sideways at Arya, a mixture of guilt and determination flickering in his eyes. "It's not just about the past. We need to understand our potential moving forward." Arya nodded, appreciating Darius's shift in tone. "Let's split up. Leandro and I will head to the archives. The rest of you, check the perimeter for any lingering threats." As the team dispersed, she felt the weight of their shared burden. Each of them was now part of something much larger than themselves. In the archives, the atmosphere was thick with dust and echoes of forgotten knowledge. As they sifted through ancient scrolls and holographic records, Arya felt a surge of hope mixed with a growing unease. "Look at this," she said, holding up a holographic display that projected a star map with Earth at its center. "These coordinates, they match the location of the artifact." Leandro leaned closer, squinting at the details. "Are you saying this artifact isn't just a relic? It's a key to something bigger?" "Exactly," Arya replied, her heart racing with the implications. "But it seems like there was a reason humanity was kept from this knowledge, this council. They feared what we could become." Just then, Darius entered the room. His expression was grave, and Arya noticed the tension in his shoulders. "We need to talk," he said, his voice low. "There's something you both need to know." Arya exchanged a wary glance with Leandro before gesturing for Darius to continue. "What is it?" "I've been working for the council," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I was sent to observe you, to report on the artifact and your activities. But after what I witnessed today, He trailed off, the conflict evident in his eyes. "I don't know where my loyalties lie anymore." Leandro stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "You were spying on us, all this time." "Yes, but it wasn't supposed to be like this," Darius pleaded. "I didn't expect to see the potential in humanity. I didn't think I'd care about you all." The sincerity in his eyes softened Leandro's initial anger. "I want to help. We need to prepare for the council's next move." Arya felt a pang of betrayal but also recognized the honesty in Darius's voice. "We could use your knowledge," she said cautiously. "But trust will take time. You need to prove that you're with us now." "I understand," Darius replied earnestly, his gaze steady. "Let me help you find the truth in those records. We can't let the council silence us again." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility, the shrill tones cutting through their conversation like a knife. "They're coming," Leandro said, his voice urgent. "We need to move, now." Without hesitation, Darius motioned for them to follow. "I know a hidden route to the escape pods," he said, leading the way. Arya and Leandro exchanged a look, their uncertainty mingling with the urgency of the moment. As they dashed through the dimly lit corridors, the sound of approaching alien soldiers could be heard, their voices echoing ominously. "We can't let them escape," one of them shouted, the threat palpable. Arya pushed herself to run faster, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "We can't let them capture the artifact or any of this knowledge," she yelled back, determination fueling her every step. With Darius guiding them, they reached a concealed hatch that led to the underground escape pods. "This way," he urged, pulling the door open just as the first alien soldiers rounded the corner. "Go! I'll hold them off," Leandro shouted, stepping back to confront the incoming threat. No, we can't leave you, Arya protested, but Leandro's fierce gaze silenced her. Just go. I'll buy you time. With a heavy heart, Arya nodded, and she and Darius scrambled into the pod. As the hatch sealed, she could hear Leandro's voice mingling with the alien shouts, a sharp reminder of the stakes they faced. Prepare for launch, Darius called out, his fingers flying over the controls. The pod shuddered as it powered up, and Arya braced herself for whatever lay ahead. They had escaped, but the battle was far from over. The truth awaited them, and with it, the chance to reclaim their destiny. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the team gathered in a makeshift command center, a dilapidated building that had once been a research facility. The atmosphere was thick with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Arya, Leandro, and Darius stood around a holographic map, plotting their final stand against the alien forces that loomed on the horizon. We need to coordinate our attacks, Leandro said, his voice steady but urgent. If we can distract them on the left flank, we'll have a better chance to hit them where it hurts. Arya nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. And what about the defectors? We can't risk losing them in the chaos. They know the enemy's tactics better than anyone. Darius, who had been silent for a moment, finally spoke up. I've been in contact with their leader. They're ready to fight alongside us, but we need to trust them. Their knowledge of the alien technology could turn the tide. Just as they were finalizing their strategy, an ominous rumble shook the ground beneath them. The sky darkened as a colossal ship descended, blocking out the last rays of the sun. The team's collective breath caught in their throats. Arya's heart raced as she exchanged worried glances with her companions. Is that... Leandro started, but his voice trailed off, fear creeping into his tone. Yes, Darius confirmed, his eyes narrowing. That's definitely from the Coalition. We're in for a fight. The ship landed with a thud, sending tremors through the earth. The team braced themselves, weapons at the ready. They could hear the low hum of alien technology, a sound that had become all too familiar. But as the ship's door opened, what emerged was not what they had anticipated. A figure stepped out, cloaked in shimmering fabric that glistened like starlight. As the dust settled, the team's eyes widened in disbelief. The figure was human, yet there was something undeniably otherworldly about them. With striking features and an aura of power, they emanated a presence that felt like a storm gathering strength. Who are you? Arya called out, curiosity and caution blending in her voice. The figure approached, their eyes glowing with a faint luminescence. I am Kyle, a descendant of humanity who has lived among the stars. I have come to aid you in your struggle against the Coalition. Leandro stepped forward, skepticism etched on his face. How do we know you're not just another trick from the Council? Kyle smiled, a knowing glint in their eyes. I understand your hesitance, but I have felt the resonance of the artifact you possess. It has awakened within me the ancient powers that have long been dormant in our kind. Together, we can unleash a force that will redefine the fate of humanity. The tension in the air shifted as Kale raised their hands, and a surge of energy pulsed through the ground. The team felt an overwhelming sense of unity, as if the very essence of humanity's legacy was coursing through their veins. Arya exchanged glances with Darius and Leandro, and in that moment, they felt an unspoken bond solidify between them. Let's do this, Arya said, her voice resolute. Together, as the Coalition forces began their advance, the team, now bolstered by Kale's presence, prepared to unleash their combined powers. The air crackled with energy as they focused their minds, channeling the artifact's strength. Kale led them in a chant that resonated with the ancient language of humanity, awakening something deep within each of them. With a wave of their hand, Kale unleashed a torrent of energy that cascaded across the battlefield. The alien forces, caught off guard, stumbled backward as the ground beneath them erupted in a blinding light. Arya, Leandro, and Darius felt the power surging through them, amplifying their abilities to new heights. Now, Kyle commanded, and the team launched their attacks, a symphony of energy and determination. They fought side by side with the defectors, their combined forces creating a wall of resistance against the encroaching alien army. As the battle raged on, the tide began to shift. The coalition soldiers, who had once viewed humanity as weak and insignificant, were now confronted with a force they could not comprehend. With each strike, the humans demonstrated their potential, and for the first time, the alien coalition realized they had gravely underestimated them. With Kale at their side, the team unleashed one final wave of energy, a brilliant explosion of light that surged across the battlefield, pushing the alien forces back and sending shockwaves through every civilization that had ever doubted humanity's strength. In that moment, the galaxy witnessed a transformation, a reawakening of a legacy long thought lost. As the dust settled, the humans stood victorious, united in their newfound purpose. Together, they had not only defended their planet, but had also reshaped their place in the galaxy, proving that humanity was a force to be reckoned with.